Hello, Narnach here. Welcome to GlitchSpace. It's a first-person puzzler in which you use a visual programming language to solve puzzles. And please don't run away. I say visual programming language. It's actually not that difficult. You don't need to know any programming for this. All you need to know is pay attention to the instructions in the tutorial and use a bit of logic and common sense. And for the rest, the game is actually pretty good at explaining how things work. Before we get into some gameplay footage, I quickly want to do the usual disclosure. In this case, it's a bit weird. Most of the games I play on my channel I have just bought myself and I just play them because I don't want to share them. This game I did buy myself. It's actually been in early access for about 2 or 3 years now. I got it about 2-3 months ago after I finished my Human Resource Machine series. And I was just looking for more games that had programming as a theme in it. And for various reasons I didn't come around to actually playing it yet. So last week I got an email from the developers of GlitchSpace basically announcing like, hey, the game is launching next week. Here's a free review key. So I bought the game, but I also got a review key. And the review key allowed me to play the launch build a couple days earlier in order to get my material ready for the video on a launch day. And I've had some pleasant email exchanges with the developers. Actually found a couple of interesting bugs that they managed to resolve that way. And as a result, the game is now a bit more stable. And yeah, I'm having a good time with it. So that was my disclaimer, and now I'm just gonna get into the game itself. Enjoy. And you see that on the right hand side, that cube thing, that is your programming tool. And whenever you walk over one of these glowy, beamy things that shoot light out, your tool gets pre-programmed and it learns new tricks. In the game, there are these red blocks, like over there, that you can see, that you can pre-program. The thing is, it's around the corner, so we can't actually reach it. And also most of the time there's these white lines that you can follow that sort of kind of guide you where you have to go. And besides the pre-existing blocks, you also have another tool at your disposal. If you hold shift, you can actually place a block, a personal block, in the air. And now you see, if you hover over it, the tool becomes red. So if you right click on it, you actually get a programming grid. And here I can say, for example, the abstraction, let's stretch it. Okay, so that's cool. What direction are we going to stretch it? Well, we're going to stretch it along the x-axis. And here you see a nice cube that has a spikes going through it to indicate what directions there are. So this is the x-axis, y-axis goes up, and the z-axis goes from left to right in this instance. And you can just drag it and then just click, link them. So we want to stretch it a bit, make it larger. So we're going to make like a plank to walk. It's like we're pirates. Okay, so now it has stretched. So let's step on top of it. You can see we can actually now identify the other thing. So let's see if we can move it a bit closer to us. So let's move the object. And here in this cube you can now see that the z-axis is pointing towards us, so that's where we want to go. So let's take a vector along the, oh, that was a y, vector along the z-axis, and let's say we move it another 20. Boom. So it moved a bit closer, but that's still, oh, we can jump, but I don't think we're gonna make it. So let's stretch it as well. We certainly have the option to just stretch it. And the nice thing is we already have 20 going into the Z here, so we can just say, also link it with this. So now we both stretch and move 20 units along the Z-axis, and you can see it's actually a lot closer. So can we make it? Let's jump. Yes, we made it. Excellent. So Now we want to get up there. So we always have the option of doing something else with it, because if we hold shift we can just resummon it where we are. But we are standing on top of a block already. So let's see what we can do. So there's no more point in moving it along the z-axis. We can just cancel that. Instead we want to move it along, let's see, we want to move it up, right? So that's going to be the y-axis. Why do we want to do that? Because we can. Okay, so now we're all the way up here. And then we can just place our own block, and we can just jump on top of it. And we can say to this block, which still has the instructions unlinked, we want to stretch it again along the x-axis. Ooh, almost there, but that's it. We also move it. Same direction again. And now we are over here. So this is an example of how you could solve a puzzle. Just you move the pre-existing blocks and your own block in various creative ways. So let's move on and have a look at the next section of the level. So actually let's have a nice look back here. So there's a portal over there. That's where we came from. And every level always starts with the portal. That also functions as your save point. Let's see, just summon a thing to jump on. Okay. So we want to get to that one. And if we right click on it and see what it does. This one applies force along the y-axis. So that's pointing upwards with 100. So that's, if you step on it, it's gonna launch you very rapidly into the sky. And they are dark green, indicating we can't actually do anything with them. So that's just a given. That one is meant to move us up. And if you look at the background, it's this white beam and that's going up. So that's a visual indicator that the level continues somewhere up there. So we want to get on top of that and jump. But there's this chasm here that I'd rather not fall into. Also to the right there's this big red block, and it seems to be blocking this jet of blocks that's coming in. If you touch that jet of the noise, then all the nearby red blocks are going to be distorted, and for example, if you have a bridge going over, you will fall through. So let's see what we can do with this one. So there's a given block, 90. I also happen to know that we have a rotate. If you rotate something by 90 degrees, then it's gonna tilt into one direction. Oh, not the main vector. So let's have a look. So if you want to rotate it 90 degrees, and that's probably gonna be the x-axis. Let's have a look if that's the right one. Yes. So now you can see the jet is now passing over. So if we touch that, it's not going to be too pretty. But we did manage to use this thing for something. So it's moving along the z-axis by 20 units. So if we cut that connection, it's going to shoot over to the side. Okay. Well, that's a bit too far to the left. So let's say if we add the number 10 in here and we link that, then it's going to be nicely in the center here. Okay. So what if we also stretch it? We have the number 90 here, so we can actually make it really, really, really large. So object, stretch object is along the x-axis. That's actually going forward. Cool. So we can just link it. And boom, suddenly we have a huge, huge plank. Thing is though, there's this beam now in the way that we'd rather not mess with. So, let's see. So, the thing is, we can just say to this beam that we're standing on, what if we just move it upwards? So that's going to be the y-axis according to the cube. We move it up by 20 because that's the largest number we got. Then we can stretch it a bit along the x-axis. Let's say also 20. Look at that. Now the stream is just passing right underneath us. Well, I think we can just jump and we can just make it over here. Okay. So we made it here. Now there's this bottom thing somewhere below us. You see, if through the glitching you actually see that it's there. And the glitching of course happens because the noise, it just passes through and it distorts it a bit, but not enough to actually cause problems. But the thing we can do here is we can say, what can we do? Transform. No. Abstraction. Object is solid. Yes. So what if we say that the object is no longer solid? Boom. And we fall through. You can see through it. And now we have a bouncing pad. The good thing is there's no health bars and therefore there's no falling damage. So in here you see all around us the world. Ooh, look. There's a nice red button here. Oh, missed it. This is another one. Okay. Ooh, there's another one over there. Okay. Another one over there. And this looks like a final room with a portal that gets us to the next level. Boom. And now we walk over the tool reprogramming spot. Let's have a look. A red square. So what options do we have now? We lost all abstractions with the exception of object is solid. So this we can't do a lot with it. So if you make it non-solid, just like we did in the last puzzle, we actually see this will take us down by quite a bit, and we land on another path that reprograms our tool. And there's another block. And here our object is solid is also gone. So what else do we have? Physics, use collisions. Okay. Well, that's something we can say, well, that's false now. Could say, well, the main object, so that's going to be the main object itself. And now it is no longer using the laws of physics, so we can also walk straight through it. So, what are we getting here? Another one. Apply force upwards. Okay. So let's see, would 20 be enough? 20 is not enough. So let's see, I think we also had 50 now. Yes. Ooh, and we have a bouncy pad. Okay. What's up here? Another one. Have you been? Apply force. Okay, so now we need a vector upwards. Is 50 gonna be enough? It is gonna be enough. Excellent. So, walking through the portal saved our progress. Boom. Okay. So, what are we getting here? Apply force, which has two inputs. We have colliding here, and there was a pop-up that I missed. Colliding. The object that is touching this object. Okay. We apply force to that. Interesting. Let's see, how much force are we going to apply? Let's see, another. So we can't apply force directly to this because of course it needs to be a directional. So In this case, X is going to be forward facing. And we made a launcher that almost worked. So, this is another nice feature of the game. If you happen to fall off the world, then you will get reset to wherever you were standing last before that happened. So you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning of the level to retry it again. And so in that sense, the game is rather forgiving for mistakes, and it allows you to experiment a little to get the optimal solution. We do not have a bigger number, do we? No. Okay. So what if we also apply some upward force? So we launch it forward and upwards. That could be interesting. So wait, that's going to be Y. So 50 is maybe a bit much, but let's say we apply 20. Okay, that's a problem. We only can apply one of them. Also, this colliding thing is here, but that's probably going to be for whatever we throw at it. Do we have any other tools available? So after thinking about this for a bit longer, I figured the trick is to probably not have this exact tile do something. It's about your personal tile. Because we can do the exact same things here. We can say, well, use collisions. We can say whatever is colliding with it. So we set up a similar setup as the basic tile before. We can say, well, apply some force in a forward direction. Actually, you can probably just use this one, colliding player object. And then we can say, here, have 50 units of it. And the moment I link them, we're gonna get launched. Ta-da! Here. So sometimes the game gives you some objects, and it might be that you don't have to use the objects themselves, but they're just to give you a hint of what you could do, and then you have to get a little creative. So if you can't quite get where you want to go from the pre-existing blocks, always remember that you have your own personal block that you can do something with. So let's have a look. What's next? Need to get to there. Okay, well, we still have our own personal block. Wait, that was not the brightest of ideas. Whenever you resummon it, all the blocks get unlinked, so you have to relink this. And then it will behave in a way. Also, a good thing to remember is, we were going from that direction here, so X was going forward, but the thing is, the map itself hasn't rotated, so the x-axis is still pointing in that direction. And if you look at the block in the bottom, it confirms that the x-axis doesn't move. If you rotate, x-axis is always going to point into the same direction. So in this case, we actually want to make the force apply in the z-axis. So if we just re-link that, get rid of this one, we should be in a better state. We made it. So that's the lesson learned here. The axes don't move when you do. They just are. And I got a suspicion that we have to get up there. Also, we can walk around here. Let's do the easy thing here. Oh, let's like this. Let's have a look. What is up here? There's not a lot here actually. Okay, so the question here then becomes, do we have to go downstairs again? So that means not transform, but yeah, we set it to not be solid. Or is that just gonna... Okay, from the looks of it, that's not a good idea. This is just gonna make us fall for all eternity. Well, until we get reset back here. So let's not use that one. Also, I probably should have set it to true first. So object is solid. We link it again. Okay, so now it's solid again. Next up, we can apply force. Yes, into the y direction. That generally just points upwards, and then let's say with a force over 50. Okay. Okay. That's where we just came from. Okay. Wait. So the lesson learned here is basically reinforcement of the previous lesson. Sometimes the block that's placed is only to show you where you have to do something, but you have to apply the lesson yourself. In this case, we probably have to make another bouncy pad ourselves here. So this is going to apply a force of 50 along the y-axis, so that's going to be up. So this is just another bouncy pad to get us up there. Also, it has to apply to us. And that almost gets us there. Okay. So what if we place this one further up into the sky? If you use your scroll wheel, you can actually get it closer or further away from yourself. This seems to be about the maximum distance. So what if we just link it up again? So we have a floating bouncy pad, because we were almost able to get there, but not quite. But the thing is, we have a giant bouncy pad down here, which gets us about there. Then we get there, and ta-da! There is the portal. Excellent. So there you have it. This was GlitchSpace. Well, 3 levels out of the 31 that the game is shipping with. The game is actually rather affordable. It's only 13 euros right now on Steam, or your regional equivalent. So I think that's a pretty fair price for. Well, it was a early access indie game. It's actually used its early access quite a bit to get developed, and now the team is launching. And what I have seen so far, it's a fun game. It's that's the simplest thing I can say about it. I'm definitely going to play more of it. I'm not going to turn this into a let's play. The month of May 2016 is just crazy enough that I don't have the time for that. But I figured this game launching and already having bought it was a good enough collision of coincidences or of circumstances, of however you want to spin that, to at least dedicate one video to it to accompany the game's launch and to give the game a little bit more exposure. Because there's a fair number of you on the channel that have enjoyed games like TAS 100 and the Human Resource Machine, and you might get a kick out of this as well. If you have played Portal and really enjoyed solving the puzzles, I imagine this might also strike a nerve with you. Even though this is, admittedly, it's a bit nerdier. The programming aspect does make it slightly more intimidating. But I hope, that just by showcasing how it works, that you get a grasp of what the game will ask of you, and that will help you make a fair assessment whether the game is going to be something for you or not. chances are, if you are gonna like this game, then you probably have already ran off to the Steam store to get yourself the game. As usual, the links to the Steam store and the developer site and all that stuff will be in the description. So, gotta thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll enjoy GlitchSpace. Bye bye.